Hello guys, this is day 8 quiz series of the 625 total MCQ series. So this will continue for the next 15 days or so. So please see to it that you watch all the previous episodes, and all these are designed for your UPSC prelims exam, which is on October 10. And these are taken from 1 year old current affairs, but it will have also a lot of static questions, which is history, geography and all. So you have to watch it till the end. And if something has to be updated from current affair, that also I'll tell you when we go through the MCQs. So this is a 2018 report. Widening Gaps India Inequality Report was released by which body? So NGO, Plan India, Observer Research Foundation, Amnesty India, Oxfam India. So this kind of international and national level NGOs and autonomous bodies also create a lot of reports. So when it is something which was discussed too much in the news, it will be picked up by UPSC. So here the answer is Oxfam India. Oxfam is a confederation of 20 independent charitable organizations focusing on the elevation of global poverty, founded in 1942 and led by Oxfam International. One of their report, Economy for the 99%. Okay, another report. So this one is Widening Gaps India Inequality Report, and this is Economy for 99%. So because they are basically dealing with the poverty level and all those things. Okay. Now, Amnesty International is a London-based non-governmental organization focused on human rights. The organization claims to have over 7 million members and supporters around the world. Their reports are Abolish the Death Penalty Report, then When the State Kills. Okay, so this death penalty and kills, this both are related to Amnesty because they are dealing with human rights kind of thing. Now, Observer Research Foundation is a think tank based in New Delhi. That means it's an Indian one, and it is founded as part of this family through its, although it operates independently. Then the Raisina Dialogue is a multilateral conference held annually in New Delhi since 2016. Okay, so that like we have Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. So based on that, same thing was modeled here. So Raisina Dialogue is there, which happens, and it is done with the support of ORF in the Ministry of External Affairs. Plan India, it's an NGO developed by the first ever Gender Vulnerability Index, which they developed it, okay, which indicates that Goa is the safest for women and girls, while Bihar ranked the lowest for their safety and security. Okay, so Indian level, that is what that NGO has told. Now, Global Infrastructure Outlook is a landmark country-based online tool and report developed by the Global Infrastructure Hub with Oxford Economics, which forecast infrastructure investment needs across 50 countries and even sectors to 2040. Sectors to 2040. So this are not, as I told, not very big intergovernmental kind of bodies. These are NGOs or autonomous bodies, but sometimes they will trouble you. So we have given 2 line explanation. More than this, please don't read any Wikipedia page and waste your time. Whatever is there here, just read that alone. Which of the following Governor General was in power when the following happened? So Anglo-Burmese War and Treaty of Yandabu. So here, to help you, we have given the year also. Sometimes UPSC will not give the year, so it will be very difficult to guess the timeline. So it is 1824 to 26. So around that timeline, who was the Governor General or Viceroy? Okay, so it will be obviously Governor General because the timeline is like that. So Lord Minto I, Lord Hastings II, Lord Amherst, and Lord John Adam. Okay, so these are not again the most important ones among the Governor Generals, but among their timeline also many things happened. So if you see here, Lord Amherst is the answer, and this Wikipedia, in Wikipedia, entire thing you will get. So the screenshot is of those people who are there in the options. So Lord Minto, if you see 1807 to 1813, this is not the Minto who is involved in Morley Minto reforms because that is later. Okay, that is 1909 timeline. Okay. So here if you see, this is Minto 1 you can call. Okay, Minto 1, and that time only this Charter Act of 1813 was there, and then Treaty of Amritsar was there where Ranjit Singh was there. Okay, after that only Anglo-Sikh War and all this thing will happen. Okay, so here if you see, then the Hastings. Okay, this if you see again 1813 is the timeline. So this can be called like Hastings 2 because the Warren Hastings is much before this, 1773. Okay, then here also if you see policy of non-intervention, Third Anglo-Maratha War, then Treaty of Sagovali with Nepal, creation of Bombay Presidency in 1818, establishment of Rayatwari system in Madras, Malwari system in Central India. So all these things happened during this Hastings time. Okay, so this and all usually you don't know. Okay, so that's why we are giving you these details. Then John Adam, just like a temporary for licensing regulation, he was there. Then Lord Amherst, these 2 things in question. First Anglo-Burmese, that is a Myanmar now, Burmese War, and Treaty of Yandabu. Then this Lawrence is the time when Bhutan War and also establishment of Shimla as India's summer capital. Okay, 1863. That happened during his timeline. Okay, St. John Lawrence. So try to just glance through this because if you remember in exam hall, it will be good for you. You will get an extra mark because usually everyone will not prepare all these things. Now arrange the following in order in which they are officially adopted in India. Okay, the flag, emblem, and anthem. So by common sense, you will know that flag will be there in the starting itself. So here you have to look for that and option. So it will be like either 1, 2, 3 or 1, 3, 2. Okay, so now you have to know the anthem and emblem. So anthem was second actually, so it will be 132. Okay, answer is 132. And timeline, June 1947 itself we had the flag, adopted the flag. 24th January 1950 we adopted the anthem, and 26th January Republic Day 1950, first Republic Day emblem. Okay, so FAE can be the trick for you to by heart this. These are all given in India yearbook, so you have to by heart. Now Saundarnanda is a fine example of Sanskrit kavya written by whom? So Ashwagosha, Amogavarsha, Harsha, Banabhatta. If you are a very serious aspirant, you will exactly know their timeline, all these four people in whose court they were like poet or governor or whatever. So these things, if you don't know, that means your history preparation is very weak. Okay, you have to exactly know, like Ashwagosha was in that court, Harsha was in this court. Okay, so now explanation part, if you see, Ashwagosha is the one who has written this Sanskrit kavya, and he's a very important person because his timeline is much before Kalidasa, who is considered like a great person in Sanskrit poetry and drama and all. But actually it is Ashwagosha who was in 80 AD. Okay, who was part of the Kanishka or the Kushan Empire. Okay, Kanishka's court poet he was. So he is actually considered the father of Sanskrit drama. Okay, because as I told, Kalidasa will come later, only 400 AD something, around the time of Chandragupta too. Okay, but this person Ashwagosha is there much before him. Okay, he was a Brahmin and he initially opposed Buddhism, but later he had a debate with some person, and finally he also understood the value of Buddhism. So these are some stories about him. Okay, how he got into Kushana court, Kanishka court and all. Okay, in Peshawar, which is in Pakistan now. You know, Kanishka had a big empire there in the northwestern, in present day India Pakistan area. Okay, then he's a brilliant orator, and he talked a lot about this Mahayana thing and all, because that time, you know, the fourth Buddhist council also happens. Okay, around the time of Kanishka, he only was the person who conducted it, so he was in charge in organizing it. And there, and about Mahayana he has written books also. Okay, this Mahayana, Shraddhotpata Shastra, okay, awakening the faith in the Mahayana. Then this Buddha Charita everybody teaches you, but other things usually you don't see in books. So Mahalankara, Book of Glory. So just by heart it, these three books are related to Ashwagosha, who was in the Kanishka court, and he is considered the father of Sanskrit drama. Now, who among the following was known as the father of revolutionary thoughts? Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, and Aurobindo Ghosh. These four people, you know, Lal, Bal, Pal, these three are called, and this fourth person, these four are together called the revolutionary kind of people, or the extremist kind of people. Okay, not revolutionary, extremist. Okay, because we have moderate and extremist. In spectrum class I have taught everything in detail. Here also we have explanation for Bipin Chandra Pal, because UPSC already asked a detailed question on Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and also a detailed question on Lala Lajpat Rai and Aurobindo Ghosh. But Bipin Chandra Pal question is yet to come. Okay, a detailed one I'm telling. So that is why full details are here. So he's an Indian nationalist, writer, orator. His timeline also, first you see, it's till 1932. And also I think 1926 itself he retired from all the political things and all. But so you should know, around Swadeshi movement and all these things he was there. Okay. And you see Lal Bal Pal, then architect of Swadeshi movement along with Aurobindo. Then against the partition of Bengal. Then he was support of this widow remarriage. He himself married a widow and joined Brahmo Samaj. Okay, Brahmo Samaj, and you should know, which is Raja Ram Mohan Roy's thing and all, which nowadays question is not coming, but it's very important. Then in Madras session of INC in 1887, he made a strong plea for the repeal of Arms Act, which was discriminatory in nature. Okay, and no faith in mild protest. Okay, meaning opposing the moderates. And again, he was like against the caste system and all these things. And then this much hours work week only should be there. There should be hike in wages for workers. So socialist kind of lot of things he has stood for. And also he had a difference in opinion with Mahatma Gandhi. He told like Gandhi's work is like all magic. It's not, there is no logic in that. Okay, then he worked for Bengal Opinion. Okay, Public Opinion, the Tribune, New India. Okay, New India, another thing is also there, which is related to Annie Besant. Here also it's there. So again, he propagated nationalism. Several articles about changes happening in China. Okay, so this kind of statements only, which is tricky. Okay, because last time UPSC asked like who was the one who went to USA, settled there, then wrote some books about some people. So answer that time was Lala Lajpat Rai. So again, they can ask like who went to and who wrote about China, who opposed Gandhi, who called Gandhi's things as magic. They can ask anything. Okay, UPSC will ask these things. So please prepare this. Okay, he also wrote under title this Our Real Danger. Okay, so all factual things needed is given. Now, Women in Business and Management, the Business Case for Change. Okay, this was released by International Labour Organization, okay, ILO, and it's again a 2019 report, so not very important. And there was a study by World Economic Forum also. If the global gender gap in labour market participation is closed by 25% by 2025, an additional this much this thing will be there, will be added to GDP. Okay, so that gap between women and men, this always is discussed in many reports, and this is a general report by ILO. Okay, again Deloitte one report is there, empowering women and girls in India. Okay. Which of the following are true and is mentioned in the Constitution of India? No person shall be member of both houses of parliament. no person shall be a member of both parliament and of a house of legislature of a state. If for a period of 60 days a member of either house of parliament is without permission of the house absent from all the meetings, the house may declare his seat vacant. Okay, so it's about the vacancy and all, and whether they can be in both the houses. So all these three are actually mentioned in your article number 101, and so it is true. So here, if you see the first statement and second statement and this fourth statement, this is what we put in the question. And again, some things you can see here. Just pause it and read. Okay, and these are all taken from a online website called indianqanun.com. Okay, indianqanun.com gives you a better crisp explanation of every article. Okay, so we take explanations from there, because in Lakshmikant and all, it will not be given. The articles will not be given properly. So whichever article you have doubt, suppose article 356, type article 356 Indian Kanun. In Google, you type it. So you will get this kind of one page. Okay, so read that. It will be more helpful for you. Now, historically, which islands have been considered a bridge between four continents: Africa, North Africa, South America, Europe? So in your mind, try to make a map of this. Where are these located? So what will be an island which is a bridge between all these four? Crimea Island, Malta, Fiji, Canary Islands. So if you know the locations of all these, it's a very easy question. Okay, so it's Canary Island, and if you see the map here, see Canary Island, here North America, South America, Africa, and Europe. Okay, so this is a general job. This is the kind of questions UPSC will ask. Okay, not like all the atlas and things which you simply waste your time by hearting and the state capitals and all. Nothing is going to come in exam. This kind of general islands or oceans related thing is going to come. Okay, so Canary Islands is here. It's a zoomed map here in Africa, northwest side of Africa, near Portugal, Spain, you can tell. And here Ukraine, there Crimea is there, because of which Russia was thrown out of G8, and now G8 has become G7, Crimea issue. Then here again Malta, you can see in Mediterranean Sea. Okay, and here many other islands are there. Okay, so Cyprus and all. So try to know the island locations, whether they are above equator, below equator, that kind of things and all. Try to know. Which of the following are true about disabled persons in India? Right of Persons with Disability Act 2016 in India is in line with United Nations Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability, to which India is a signatory. Then, as per Census 2011, in India, out of the population of 121 crore, about 15% of the total population are disabled. So here, that number is exaggerated. It's actually only 2.21% of the total population. Okay, and most of them are there in the rural areas. So this kind of factual things also can come. UPSC used to ask. So try to read this. Okay, in DPSP and all, there are provisions for the disabled people and all. So that also UPSC can ask, like where is the clause for disabled people mentioned? Okay, like preamble or fundamental rights or DPSP, like that they'll mention a question, so you have to know it. Okay, and in 7th schedule also. Okay, 7th schedule of the constitution, in the state list it is mentioned relief of the disabled and unemployable. Then here that full act is given. Act clauses are asked sometimes. In 2018-19 too many acts were asked, and latest, like the 7 disabilities were upgraded to 21. Okay, now acid attack victims and all these things are there. Even the quota in government jobs was increased from 3 to 4%. The education institution increased from 3 to 5. Higher education, okay, higher education 3 to 5%. Okay, then age group of 6 and 18 shall have a right to free education. Okay, if they're disabled. So like this, a fund is there, national fund, state fund. It's all picked up from your PRS website and Hindu. PRS is a website where all your act and bill clauses will be given in detail. Okay, including if they are a lapsed bill or if they are a bill pending in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, everything, full details will be there in PRS website. Okay, so any act you have a doubt, search like right to persons with this one act, PRS. That time whatever link comes, read that. Okay, I'm telling you how to read properly for UPSC. Many people don't know this. They will simply read whatever article they like or whatever coaching magazine, and that is why you don't get the full details. Okay, government, whatever they publish, that is the authentic one. Okay. So again, what is benchmark disability? Meaning at least 40% of the whatever organ or whatever this thing is disabled. So it has to be certified by an authority. That is called a person with benchmark disability. Even in UPSC exams, you will see like reservations or quota is there for people with this thing. Okay, and their cutoff will be lesser. Their everything will be lesser. Okay, so it's like a reservation for them. Okay. Now, Reserve Bank of India has released final guidelines for on-tap licensing for small finance banks. Which are the following are true? RBI will accept applications and grant licenses for banks throughout the year. The payment banks can apply for conversion into SFB after 5 years of operation. Okay, so this both are true. Both are picked up from the announcement which RBI did, and this was again last year's thing. And small finance bank, what it is, you have to clearly know. In yesterday's episode, we saw what is payment bank, and that time also I told in my economics test a detailed thing is there about how is their capital requirement, how is their conversion requirement, everything is the same like that. Small finance bank also you have to study. Okay, so again, if you see, I am not going to read everything because economics and all you cannot simply teach with just a 1 minute, 2 minute time. You have to read out everything. Okay, so please pause this and read this. Okay, because the video will get lengthier. So here again, the what announcement they did about that also, everything is given here. Who are the eligible candidates for setting up SFB, that also is here. Okay, resident individual professionals with 10 years of experience, companies and societies owned by, controlled by residents, existing NBFCs. Okay, all these people can set up. Okay, at least 25% of the banking in unbanked rural centers, and the bank will be required to extend 75% of its this net bank credit to priority sector. So what is priority sector lending and all, if you don't know, that is why I told you your economics should have been strong. Okay, that's the basics. Repo rate, CRR, SLR, all these things, if you know, only then you will understand when somebody tells 75%, 85% of that thing. Okay, again, loan size, how much they can give. Again, pause and read all these things. My students will have all the PDFs anyway. Others, I'm telling, please pause and read. Which of the following are true as of August 2020? Okay, this actually there will be an updation because as I told, last year this question was famed. So that time IMPS and NEFT are available 24/7 is true. RTGS was not. But in December, okay, August was wrong. August this is the case, but in December 2020, RTGS also became 24/7. So this statement will be wrong. Okay, in this question, I think in answer it will be written the other way. But I'm telling you now, IMPS, NEFT, RTGS, all will be 24/7. And then charges, NEFT, RTGS, this one has a zero charge, and IMPS still has charges. Okay, so charges will be something like this. Okay, up to 10,000 this much. And when this is also subject to banks. Okay, this is standard rates, but banks may have something different. Okay, government bank, private bank, it will have different things. And this, if you see, RTGS is now available. This is 14 December 2020, meaning after we made that test, this update came. That's why the question is like that. Okay, I mean the answer is different. This both 1 and 2 is now not correct. Okay, because only 2 is correct, because RTGS is also this thing 24/7. So hope you got the idea. Now again, very basic details we have given. Okay, as I told, theory is there in my economics test number 2. My students can go and study from there. But still here some things are there. Send money to any beneficiary of any NEFT enabled bank. It can be used to transfer from and to any NRE and NRO account within the country, and it's not available for international transaction. Then immediate payment service, that is IMPS. Okay, students, everyone, you would have used it. Okay, all these things you are using it. Even now the modern Google Pay, everything is like enhanced version of this only UPI format. So real time fund transfer. Okay, because this one, in banking hours it used to happen, but now IMPS like instant it will happen. Okay, so what is needed, the IFSC code, mobile number, account number, all these things are needed. But now when Google Pay and all these things came, that and all reduced. RTGS again for international transactions, mainly people depend on that, and now that is also there 24/7, as I told in the current affair. Okay, processing fee, that time if you see it was like this. Okay, so I hope you can understand. It's not like very rocket science kind of thing, but questions are coming. Okay, banking, money related, every year one question is coming, so you have to know this. The Raksha Bandhan ritual finds reference during which all times? Okay, reference. So this battle, which is the Greece one, and then Swadeshi movement, Mughals, all are true. Okay, so Mughals thing, I think in NCRT is also mentioned, like Humayun's time it was there. And if you see Mahabharata time, it is told like some cloth was tied on Krishna's wrist and all. So that kind of one story is there. Then this Alexander time, it's told like this Alexander's wife tied Rakhi to someone, and then some fight was avoided. Then here Humayun's time also, some Chittor queen, this Karnavati, she sent Rakhi, and then some fight was avoided. So everywhere something is there like this. Swadeshi movement also for uniting people, partition time and all. This Rabindranath Tagore aimed at this thing, tried people to tie Rakhis to each other. Okay, so those are just like some are stories, some are real one, we don't know, but this is how it's mentioned in history textbooks. Okay, now I am overworked campaign seen in news recently relates to. Okay, so I am overworked is actually, who is overworking? Doctors. Okay, so last year this thing was there, a campaign was there because of their long working hours and too much getting burnt out and stressed out. Okay, so WHO has also classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon and not a medical condition. So it's just a GK kind of thing, one line current affair. Then now this is an interesting one. Although snow skiing in the Middle East may seem preposterous, plans are in place to build the longest indoor ski slope in the world in the city. So in context of geography, this is an example of what. So there are terms like globalism, naturalization, determinism, and possibilism. So what under what this will come? Meaning in Middle East and all, desert area, this ice skating and snowing, skiing and all is not like actually possible. But now they are trying to make it possible. So that is actually possibilism. Okay. So this is a term in geography, in cultural geography, and it's mentioned since ages for various event. So Dubai is the best example, or another example would be Japan. So because those two countries are the ones which try to do things which we can't even believe. Okay, meaning that place maybe it's not possible in according to nature, but they will create it. Okay, artificial rain, artificial this thing, or maybe some diving pool or something which is not actually possible there, they are actually making it. Okay, so that is possibilism. Then another term is environmental determinism, okay, or climatic. This is actually meaning your climate or environment forces you to do something, or you do things because of the climate or environment. Okay, like for example, in very colder areas and higher latitude, if you see, because people have to survive there, they will set up a lot of things and the development will be more there. Okay, that is the logic of this. But in tropical climates and other places where people are already having a proper temperature to survive and proper this thing, proper water, nature, everything, they may not have developed too much or set up too much infrastructure because they don't need it. Okay, so that environment determining your development trajectory, that is called environmental determinism. Okay, this is in simple language I'm telling. Remaining you can pause and read here. Now, Global Childhood Report is released by whom? So it is an international one, that is non-Indian, non-profit organization. Okay, and India has a poor rank in this Global Childhood Report. It is by UK-based Save the Children. That is the non-profit organization. Okay, so 8 indicators to determine the well-being of children and teenagers. That is, they consider teenager means 0 to 19 years. Okay, so here mortality, these are all that times numbers, so it's not very important, but you should know basic meaning of what is mortality, what is morbidity, and what is the child mortality. These kind of basic things you have to know. Okay, which of the following are true? All executive action of the government of India shall be expressed to be taken in the name of the president. That is true. President shall make rules for more convenient transaction of the business of the government of India and for the allocation among ministers. This also, if you have read Lakshmikant, President chapter, it is a very easy one. It's direct one. So again, see indianqanun.com. I have taken Article 77 in a very crisp format. They'll give you this. Okay. So this 1 and 3 is what I put in the question, and 2 is you can read it. Okay. Currency monitoring watch list, which was in news last year all the time. So this is related to India and USA. Okay, because whenever there is a problem related to trade or import or tariff or anything, USA will keep putting India in the list or out of this list. So here that time when India actually this Harley Davidson bikes and all, we reduced the tariff because USA used to call India like the tariff king, putting lot of tariffs and duties and all. So we reduced it. So like a repayment kind of thing, they removed India from this monitoring list. Okay, because they keep monitoring different currencies. Okay, so China, you know, they'll keep manipulating currency and all these things. So China is still in the list all the time. Now the latest one you can go and check whether India is there or not. But this is the whole thing. Okay, and also including in the list doesn't mean anything actually. There is no penalty, there is no sanction, nothing is there. But your image will go down. Like in USA has put you in this particular list means the world will look at you in a very negative way. So that USA keeps doing that. Okay, for their benefit. So exclusion will improve obviously the improve the trade relations. Okay, like which happened now. Now, this Uj River project is often seen in the news. It's a tributary of what? Okay, so you know, Teesta River was asked by UPSC, Brahmaputra was asked by UPSC, Mandovi and Ravi is expected. So that's why this question is formed, and it is a tributary of Ravi River. You know, these rivers which are there in this system, from that questions always comes. So they may go one step ahead and ask the tributaries of that thing. Okay, meaning Ravi is already the tributary of Indus. Now the tributary of Ravi is the next thing which they can ask. Okay, so Uj River, Uj project is going on. So little basic details are given here. The tributaries of that Uj also I have given here, Nas and this Binni, Nalas. Okay, so this minimum thing, just know it. Now current account and capital account. This is again in economics you have to study. Here I cannot explain, it's a very big topic. Basically you can know like India current account is fully convertible, but capital account is not fully convertible. Okay, so answer will be one only, and you have to know current account means your basic converting rupee into dollar and like rupee into any international currency. You are converting for basic things like personal needs or maybe gift, donation, interest payment. That kind of thing is current account. Okay, capital account means the financial investments and all which you do between countries and all the investment, big whether it's India to outside or outside to India, that investment that is actually not convertible, not fully convertible. Okay, because India is not yet stable, the currency is not yet stable for that. So that very detailed notes, I think 4 or 5 pages notes I have, I can show you here. My students can read from the PDF. Others please take screenshots if needed, or maybe enroll next year, you will get this test. Okay, so here if you see convertible, okay, freedom to buy and sell foreign currency for the following international transaction. All these things is important. Okay, remittances, the personal family thing, interest on loans, short-term banking, credit facilities. Okay, all these things are current account, that's fully convertible. Okay, and this is the timeline around 1993 time. Okay, 1993 time is the when this fully conversion was happened. Okay, you know, 91 reforms are there, LPG reforms after that. So this full timeline is given here first. Then capital account convertibility, as I told, it is there, and here also explanation if you want to see. Capital account convertibility implies the right to transact in financial assets with foreign countries without restriction. So that as of now it's not full. Okay, and many people told like it was a good decision because then we escaped from the East Asian crisis and all happened, which happened in 1987. While all the other countries failed, we survived because of this decision only. So like that, many stories are there. This, if you see, including what will be the merit or what are the preconditions to include that in this thing, and if converted, what are the merits? At all details are here. Okay, demerits are also given here. So that also, if you want, pause and read. For mains, if you have to write, everything is there. Okay, then a lot of committees were there, especially SS Tarapur committee. Once UPSC asked it long back, so that you have to know he was involved in these things. Okay, these are all the recommendations given by him. Okay, Tarapur committee. So that's, again, as I told, I cannot explain. Just pause and read the entire thing. Okay, 4-5 pages are there. So who all are related or contemporary with respect to Gupta kingdom timeline? Okay, so Gupta kingdom timeline means around 300 AD and later. Okay, so here if you see, Aryabhatta, should be there. Kalidasa should be there because he was there in Chandragupta 2 times. Then Harisena is there, Samudragupta 2 times. So 1, 3, 4 is definitely there. So here if you see 1, 3, 4. Okay, here 3 is not there. Here 3 is not there, and 1, 3, 4. So here again maybe, here 3 is not there. Okay, so answer at least 3 Kalidasa, if you know, which is the way question is formed like that. Okay, so here the answer detailing. Okay, so here if you see Banabhatta, Harsha's court poet. Okay, meaning timeline is post Gupta time, that is around 780, 680, 780 is Harsha's time. So Banabhatta's timeline is after Gupta, so not contemporary. Ashok, these are the other options. Okay, other wrong options I'm reading out. Now Ashok was Kanishka's, which we already seen. Kanishka's court poet. Okay, so that is pre-Gupta time. Okay, we saw 80 AD and all. Then Ajata Shastru is again very old. He's actually pre-Gupta and pre-Mauryan, because that also I discussed in another question yesterday, I think. So he was like in the Haranyaka dynasty. Okay, who will kill his father and become the king. So that was around this BC timeline. So it's again much before Gupta. Patanjali again 200 BC, all old. Okay, then Aryabhatta, little detailing is given here. Okay, Adi Siddhanta is his work, and he like space, astronomy, many things, mathematics, many things he has done. Then Kalidasa, if you see, Sanskrit author, and his important works, Abhignana Shakuntalam, Raghuvamsha, Meghaduta, Vikramorshyam, and Kumar Sambhava. Okay, very important works. Still many more are there. Okay, Malavika, Agnimitra and all, which UPSC already asked in 2017, I think. Then Harisena, okay, Samudragupta's thing. He wrote like a lot of kavya, poetry, and this Prashasti, which is we call, okay, which is like good things about the king. He has wrote in the I think Allahabad pillar is there. Okay, on that pillar and all that inscriptions are there about Samudragupta, which is written by Harisena. Okay, then again lot of other works are mentioned here. Okay, how much ever you can by heart, just by heart, or at least when mastery following comes, you should be able to recall. Okay, like these people are related to these kind of things. Okay, he was the chief minister of Samudragupta's empire, and he's like in many posts he was there, not only poet, like a minister, and many other posts he was there. Okay, then Panini, nothing definite is known about his timeline and all. In Wikipedia also different timeline will be there. Okay, so that you have to go and confirm. But again, controversial things UPSC will not ask you. His timeline is controversial. Okay, and Ashtadhyayi is his work, Panini's work. And here if you see again different timelines mentioned. Father of linguistics he is called. Then another thing is Mahabhashya. Whichever is I am circling or telling you, those are the most important points. Okay, remaining you can pause and read. Then here, Amarasimha. This is again controversial timeline. Amarasimha actually, along with Kalidasa and all, was among the Navratna of Chandragupta too, according to majority of the sources. But still, there are other sources where tell like because Vikramaditya is the name of Chandragupta. Okay, another name. So there was another Vikramaditya later, 7th century AD. So many people refer that like Amarasimha was part of that Vikramaditya and not this one. But that is debatable. And we can go with what Wikipedia tells, like it is a court poet of Chandragupta too. Okay, and this one Amogavarsha is another person, Rashtrakuta king, who will come later. Okay, 800 AD. So like that, even though the debate is there, you can go with the Chandragupta too. That is what I feel, because majority of the textbooks mention that. Okay, so hopefully UPSC will not ask complicated things like that. Identify the act. It was the first step in the centralization of India's administration. The Governor General has legislative powers over entire British India. It sought to regulate the establishment of Christian institution. So this is a very easy question because this statement alone is enough. Okay, the first or second one, like when did the Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India? That alone is what is asked. So that if you know, it is around 1833, and it is not which in the Act, it is Charter Act. Okay, so here if you see Charter Act 1833, which is also called Saint Helena Act, first step of centralization. Governor General was redesignated as this one. So Bombay Madras lost its power. Then entire India. Then here if it's Government of India, and the council was called India Council. Okay, then Governor General's Council had 4 members. Fourth member had limited powers. Indian Law Commission was established. Macaulay Commission will come around that time, 1833, and by 1835 the education policy and all will come. He would be invited to meetings of council without voting powers. Employment to government service will be based on merit and not birth color and all. Act allowed 3 bishops in India and also sought to regulate the establishment of Christian institutions in India. Okay, so Christian, 1813 onwards is going on, and by 1833 it is like more regulated and more presence is more felt. Okay, then this slavery was abolished in Britain and all the possessions in 1833. Now personality again you have to identify. So this one, if you see, Indian Society of Oriental Art, he was the first one to receive this scholarship. He became the second artist to be elected this fellow of some academy. Then he awarded the Padma Vibhushan. So art related person. So here everyone is kind of art related. This is art, this is art. So here maybe the title, if you know, okay, Desi Kotamma, then you will be able to answer. The answer will be Nandalal Bose. Okay, so again his detailing is given here, pupil of Abanindranath. So that timeline also you will come to know, like he is after him. Okay, and if his anniversary or something is there, then this becomes more important. But UPSC will not ask anything more than what you see on the screen. Okay, whatever detail about him is needed is given here. Okay, his publications are here, where he studied is here, his timeline is here, and whether he was awarded for something, that is here. What did critics tell about him? Okay, because India's most modern paintings and all of that time is considered his paintings. Okay, now, which of the following are true with respect to RTE Act, that is Right to Education Act? So the National Council for Teachers Education lays down the minimum qualification for a person to be eligible for appointment as teachers in school. Then the act prohibits physical punishment, mental harassment, and capitation fees. So this both are directly taken from the document of this thing only, the act only. So here both are true. Okay, minimum qualifications is mentioned, and also here if you see, it prohibits physical punishment, mental harassment, and capitation fee. And all the other clauses also, if you want, you can read, but it will be difficult for you to remember, and UPSC may not ask it. Okay, but still general things will be there, whether this pupil teacher ratio, whether it is looking into school hours, is looking into working days, it is looking into. So that kind of clauses definitely there. So mostly answer will be 1 2 3 kind of thing for these kind of questions. Okay, they will not make any tough statements here. So this again, it came into effect, RTE effect came into effect in April 2010, and this is 86th amendment in 2002 which inserted article 21A, and right to education. Okay, free education is there. Even in DPSP something was there, that was moved to fundamental rights. So like that, various things are there. In fundamental duties also one clause was added. So these are basic polity stuff you have to know, but link it with current affair. Okay, RTE is the first legislation in the world that puts the responsibility of ensuring enrollment, attendance, and completion on the government. Okay, so this is extreme statement, but it is true. Okay, and education is in concurrent list. It's like both there, both in state and union. 1990, World Bank funded a number of measures, okay, including this Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, which is now again remodeled, and it has a lot of sub schemes under it. Okay, that and all in a schemes test and current affair test it will be there. Now, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India has been mandated by the Food Safety and Standards Act to perform which of the following functions? So here if you see, these are all taken from again their clauses only, and all three are true. Okay, laying guidelines for all this management, then scientific advice and technical support to center and state, then general awareness promotion. So 3 you definitely know it is true. So it should be either this or this, and 1 and 2 is also true. Okay. So here if you see, the entire list is here. Again pause and read. Okay, because I don't want to take you a lot of time. Here if you see, this one is important. Various central act were subsumed, okay, or repealed when this act came. So this list of act also can be asked by UPSC to trouble you, like which all thing got subsumed or repealed after Food Safety Act came. Okay, and Ministry of Health it comes. Okay, food, don't think like it is under agriculture or something. It is under Ministry of Health because it's about the safety and standards. Okay, and here this whatever is red color, that is what is asked in the question. Remaining black color points which you see, that you can by heart. Last question. Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya Upanishads are part of which Veda? So Rigveda, Atharvaveda, Yajur and Samaveda. Already we have explained in our R.S. Sharma lectures and CRT lectures and all. In this, sub things are there, like what is picked from where. Okay, like Satyameva Jayate is picked from where, or maybe some other Gayatri Mantra is taken from where. So that kind of questions sometimes UPSC used to ask in the 90s and all. So you have to know this Atharva Veda, whatever detailing is required, I have mentioned here. Okay, same like that, different Vedas will be there in different MCQs. So my students would have studied it hopefully. And here it is a knowledge storehouse, okay, with the procedures of everyday life and all. It is the 4th Veda, and it's a late addition to the Vedic scripture, and it's compiled around this time. Okay, contemporary with Samveda and Yajurveda they are telling. Then here again includes a Brahmana text, 3 primary Upanishads. In question it's mentioned the names. And here if you see, manuscripts of this particular edition has been lost. meaning most of them did not survive. Okay, so many things are not there. And here again some detail name. Okay, this name match the following only will come, whether it is related to which Veda, and it is survived till the modern times also. That is why it is important. And not only formulas for magic but also daily rituals, because there will be some things like it mentions only magic rituals, that will be false statement. Okay, so like this whatever is given here, and this keyword also Veda of magical formulas. So please try to by heart all these things and subscribe to our channel. I'll come up with the next episode tomorrow. Thank you and have a nice day.